Welcome back to Buy or Sell, the series where you pitch me your predictions for the coaster world, and I either buy or sell them and explain why. Here's one to start. Buy or sell. My voice makes it through this whole video. I don't know, at this point it's a coin flip. I've been battling a sore throat, but YouTube doesn't care about my problems, so I'm gonna try to get through this. If you want your idea considered for the next episode, leave a comment below starting with buy or sell. I'll read them and pick out 15 to 20 for next month's episode. In this video, we're going to look at where the next major Six Flags coaster will go, the future plans of Intamin, RMC, B&M, and El Toro, and explore the recent trend of parks requiring a chaperone and how fast that might spread. So let's get to it. This is Buy or Sell, Episode 10. Let's start with Conor Conant. Cedar Point gets a new coaster in 2024 even after the new Wild Mouse. I'm selling this. The Boardwalk is a major project and they're getting their first new coaster in 5 years. And then there's the issue with Top Thrill Dragster. Unless you consider that renovation a new coaster, which for this argument I'm not, that will be addressed before they get a new coaster. So it goes Boardwalk in 2023, Dragster in 2024, and from there, maybe a couple years before they get anything big from the ground up. Lotus Paintball. Six Flags Over Georgia will announce a new large coaster to compete with Air Force One by 2024. I'm selling this. This makes sense and the park is due to get a new coaster. But as we saw, Salim Basool doesn't want to add any new rides for a while. Will he still be CEO a year from now? I don't know. We'll see. But for 2024, that's going to be a quick turnaround for the new CEO to announce a major new coaster for Over Georgia. I guess it's possible, but just not probable in the current climate, so I gotta sell. Matt McIrvin. Six Flags New England's replacement for Goliath will be a mock power splash. I'm selling this. No matter how long it takes to get a replacement here, I wonder how Six Flags feels about these power splashes. Aquaman at Over Texas has been kind of a mess. They announced it in 2019, and now they're planning on opening it in 2023. It's not necessarily the ride's fault. Between COVID and Six Flags' late decision to add a turntable, that's driving the delay. If Aquaman opens next year and it's super popular, maybe we see it at more parks, including New England. They do need a launch coaster, and this would qualify. If Aquaman turns out to be a dud, that has to be the only one they build. So, it's possible, but I think there are much more likely options, such as a Raptor or a Premier Rides launch coaster. Track Pilot 27. The Fun Spots will get over 5 new coasters in total by 2030. I'm buying this. The Fun Spots seem to be getting more aggressive. I think land will be the one thing that'll hold them back, but they've gotten creative. Sometimes you gotta go off site, like Kissimmee did with Hurricane. It's hard to imagine that Atlanta will stop with Air Force One. Do I think the Fun Spot parks will average 2 new coasters per park over the next 8 years? Yes, I do. I wouldn't call it a slam dunk because these parks are so small as it is, but they seem to be on the path to do it as of now. Rima Vids. The first major coaster added to a Six Flags park will be going to Six Flags New England. I'm selling this. Six Flags New England is due for a new coaster. They have to replace Goliath with something. I wouldn't be surprised to see Flashback go also to open up a big plot, but I don't think they're next. Whenever Six Flags starts adding new coasters again, and that will have to be at some point soon, I think it'll be at Great America and it'll be a single rail. If you follow Salim Basool's logic, the big parks already have enough coasters, so it will be interesting to see if he wants to invest in the smaller parks, the ones that have less than 10. Frontier City and Darien Lake, this may be your time. Sky Guy R12 Turn. After Top Thrill Dragster gets removed, Magic Mountain will have a better coaster collection. I think this deserves a video of its own, mano a mano coaster battles, or assigning points to each coaster based on quality. But this might actually be very close. Assuming Top Thrill Dragster is gone, which I think it's staying and just changing, but for the sake of argument, take it out of the lineup. Then you add Magic Mountain's West Coast Racers and Wonder Woman. Suddenly, this gets close. I still think, through it all, Cedar Point has quality on their side, and they have just a little more to offer, so I have to sell this. But again, I'd love to see this play out in its own video. EA Ninja. King Ka gets removed in 10 years to make way for a new generation Vekoma tilt coaster. This is an interesting concept given what we know about Dragster. Does King Ka really have 10 years left? Six Flags is unpredictable at this point, but King Ka may answer that question for them. I'm leaning towards yes. King Ka may be in danger over the course of 10 years, but will it be replaced by a tilt coaster? It's a very specific prediction, but I'm willing to buy it. The tilt coaster is making a comeback. Six Flags does work with SNS, and their sister company is Vekoma. The tilt coaster is very marketable, and it does not have to be a long ride. It would have to be a big one if it was going to replace King Naka. That makes me think that it won't happen, but it's somewhat realistic, so I'm going to buy. Galcian BTH. RMC will eventually fix El Toro in a very unpopular way. So, it's very expensive to retract these prefabs. I know Hyde Park paid 12 million euros to fix Colossus. This may have also included the retheme. Six Flags may not be willing to shell out this money, and down the line it may have the same problem. Six Flags is very familiar with RMC iBox track, and they might spring for that option. I'm not saying it will happen, but I can see it happening, so I'll buy it. I don't even think they would necessarily change the layout. Just put iBox track like they did for Lightning Rod. I can't imagine it would be that expensive to do, though RMC conversions vary in price a lot. New Texas Giant cost $10 million in 2010, but Hakuge cost $25 million in 2018. Untamed cost 12.5 million euros, which back in 2018 was about $14.5 million. But remember, we're talking about a pure retrack, not a full redesign. That would be a lot cheaper. It would cut down on maintenance, and it would give its riders a glossy smooth ride. Chief Skarnek. After what happened at Knott's and Carowinds, Cedar Fair will implement a chain-wide chaperone policy. I remember when Kennywood did this a year and a half ago, and at the time, it seemed radical. Anyone under 17 needed to be accompanied by someone 21 or over, proof of ID required, and this would be enforced after 4 p.m. That park had a long history of fights inside and outside the park, sometimes even brawls that involved dozens of people, and the park seemed to believe this was mostly due to unaccompanied minors and teenagers. This policy allowed the park to kick people out quickly and issue a trespass notice, so if they came back, they could call the police and have them removed for trespassing. It was just something we hadn't seen before. At least, not that I could remember, but it was something we were going to have to get used to. It seems like parks have been reactionary to their chaperone policies, meaning after a major incident, that's when it snaps into place. We have seen brawls at Carowinds and Knott's that caused the park to close early, and both of those parks have put a chaperone policy into place. Kings Island had a brawl of their own last year, but the park only strongly recommends a chaperone. They don't require it. Oaks Park in Oregon had a major problem with fighting. They now have a chaperone policy. So does Castle Park, Seabreeze, Kentucky Kingdom, Elitch Gardens. This thing is spreading, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon, so I'm buying it. These parks do not want to deal with brawls. Chaperones will not eliminate them, but I guess enough of them occur among minors that they think this will help. This may cost them some business, but it will also bring in some business with a chaperone coming to the park. And overall, they'll be able to retain their audience if the park is more peaceful and there's less punching, hair pulling, slapping, or worse. I don't think Six Flags is using this, but I think they will. And other parks and chains will be proactive instead of reactive, especially Cedar Fair, which has already had major problems at some of its biggest parks. Coaster Addict. Energylandia will have 30 plus coasters in the next 10 years, including the world's tallest. First off, they add 2 to 3 every year. They're gonna have 20 by the end of next year. So, over the next 7 years, they should have 14 to 17 more. 37 coasters sounds ridiculous, and it sounds like a staffing and maintenance nightmare. I'm selling this. At some point, you have enough coasters. They've built up their park at such an insane rate. Even if they still have the funding to build up, maintaining all of this would be a tremendous task. Are they really bringing in the crowds that justify needing 30 coasters? I read they got 1.8 million last year. That's pretty good, but that's around the same as Thorpe Park. I could see them slowing on the quantity but focusing on the quality. Maybe they do get the world's tallest coaster, or a B&M Giga. Maybe they focus on theming or cool dark rides, but 30 coasters doesn't seem practical. Cool ass dude. Universal will make a new coaster by 2026, not including Epic Universe. You can look at this two ways. Universal has been building more coasters than usual as of late. This could mean they're wanting to do more, or it could mean they've satisfied that need, and they're now going to move on to something else. Epic Universe will also sap a lot of their money. Will they want to spend tens of millions, if not 100 million on another new coaster? I'm selling this. The Universal coasters will come, but I think it'll be after 2026. Carter Bastille. Hershey Park will get an Intamin Blitz or a B&M dive after RMC Wildcat. RMC Wildcat was the perfect addition for the park, so it's really interesting to consider what's next. I got two options here, and let's axe the idea of a Blitz first. I think Fahrenheit runs like a Blitz, and Stormrunner has the launch if that's what you're looking for, so I don't think it's a good fit. Now, a B&M dive is much more appealing for this park. I don't see why all parks don't look into getting a dive. They have great capacity, they're crowd pleasers, they're gimmicky. I know if I owned a park, I'd get one. There's other great options out there. One of them that comes to mind is a Vekoma Flyer. But I'm actually going to buy this because I can't think of a good reason why Hershey Park shouldn't go for a B&M dive. Hyper Thrills. Silver Dollar City or Dollywood builds a B&M Hyper. I'm buying this. There aren't too many great options left in America to buy a B&M Hyper, but the big Hershey parks have to be contenders. Dollywood just spent a ton of money on their new family coaster, but you gotta think, after they're done adding to Wildwood Grove, they'll go back to add a new major coaster. At this point, it looks like it'll be around 10 years since Lightning Rod. As for Silver Dollar City, this would be a great fit for the park. When they're ready to build another major coaster, they will probably give this a look. I don't think anyone has ever regretted a B&M Hyper. I know Carowinds was thrilled with Intimidator, especially compared to King's Dominion's experience with I-305. Like the dive coaster, if you had the money, you'd be crazy not to consider a Hyper. MB Cis KTB. Due to the failures of El Toro and Top Thrill Dragster, Intamin runs into sales issues and ends up in bankruptcy. I am absolutely selling this, even with the problems with El Toro and Top Thrill Dragster, and all the other rides that were utter failures. That was in the past. These projects were in the 2000s. Intamin has long moved on from that. There may still be hard feelings with Six Flags and Cedar Fair, but SeaWorld doesn't care. It seems like Intamin is our new go-to manufacturer. Universal doesn't care. They just got 2 major Intamins in 3 years. The parks in Europe don't care. We're seeing Intamins pop up all over the continent. If anything, Intamin is in a stronger position now than they have been since the early 2000s. Master Watermelon Theme Parks. RMC quits making conversions in 7 years. I'm selling this, but with the understanding that conversions will slow down a lot. For the first 8 years of RMC, they were sweeping through every park that had an old wooden coaster that needed new life. It seems like, at this point, if you haven't RMC'd your old wooden coaster, you probably aren't going to. Then you got Hershey Park. They weren't ready to pull the plug on Wildcat until now. And of course, RMC is going to take that project. As time goes along, wooden coasters will continue to get older and rougher. And when those parks are ready to invest, they'll call RMC and RMC will take their call. You're going to see a lot more ground up projects like Airy Force 1 and a lot more single rail coasters. But the conversions will never go away. The Ride of Pablo. B&M never makes an invert again. This is kind of similar to the RMC question, and the answer is pretty much the same. Most major parks bought their inverts back in the 90s when the model was new and hot, but there were plenty of stragglers who waited till the 2000s, or the 2010s, or the 2020s. Just like the RMC conversions, it might be years between B&M inverts. We've already seen this happen. They've only built 2 in the last 10 years, but the last one was Monster at Grona Lund in 2021. This is still in the B&M catalog. You want it, they'll build it, and I'm convinced we'll see it happen again. Valleyfair, looking your way on this one. That's a wrap on episode 10. Let me know what you think about these ideas, where you may agree or disagree, and why. And if you want your idea to be included in the next episode, don't forget to leave it in the comments, starting with the words buy or sell. Again, I apologize for my voice. Since you stuck around this long, I want to reward you with 10 full seconds of my voice cracking like a teenager. So wait till my outro and I hope you enjoy that. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. And if you're new here and love coasters, please consider giving me a sub. If you like this series, I'll leave the link to my playlist down below with the 9 other episodes. Also, check out my links below for my Discord server, and my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, and my baseball channel if you also happen to love baseball like me. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Let's start with Lotus. I've been in this video. So it goes Boardwalk. I wonder how they do the fun spots. We'll get, I think, Lando, but they seem to be on the whenever six ticket. Then you add King to Ka. I'm leaning. It's hard.